Hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? Back for another techno, actually electro Saturday today. We really should get some updated titles so it can say Electro Saturdays in the intro here. That would be cool. One of these days, right? Probably next season when we update all our graphics. Maybe that'll happen then. We'll see. What's up, everybody? Let's see who's waiting in the chat today. Who was first? Hodilas. Hey all, what's up? F-Stop is here. Creo. Or is it crack or something like that? I don't know. Welcome. Ronaldo, hello. You're not early, you were right on time. Audible video, yes. Audible video. Talking about the creepy music that I start with nowadays. Cookie Tranquilo. Hello, dance music lovers. Hello to you. We all like dance music, especially the techno and the electro. Live Society, welcome back. Simple Sam, one of our regulars, actually a lot of you are regulars, and welcome to the new people. Thanks for dropping by. DJ Feo, hola. Who else is in here? Somebody on Restream? Who is it? Twitch. Someone's watching on Twitch. Zelridgeko994. Welcome. Thank you very much. Glad you like the groove. Rubik is here from Dublin. Hey, what's up? And Arrow. Hello, all. Welcome to another Selway, whatever it is, Saturdays. Today it's Electro. It's Electro, right? A little fast, a little deep. Playing around with a new plugin today, actually. Those of you who follow along with these things might have seen that Arturia has a new effect plugin out called Fragments. It's a granular delay modulation crazy thing, and it's just the sort of weird, crazy granular plugin that I like to fool around with. And it seems related to the granular engine in Pigments. And, you know, Pigments is a synth you've seen me play around with before. That's really cool. Hybrid, all kinds of synthesis almost. It has a granular engine in it. And it does some cool things. And now it looks like they've taken some of those cool things and added more cool things and put that into an audio effect and let you do those cool things to all the other cool sounds besides what Pigments can do. So lots of cool effects processing going on. Great. This is, of course, 343 TV, brought to you by 343 Labs, Music Production School. We've just started the 343 Studio online hub subscription, whatever it is. We've been going strong with that. We've been doing stuff every day. Been doing workshops and the collaboration workshops and the master classes and feedback sessions and mentorship sessions, and we're recording new video content just for 343 Studio that's available. There's 3 levels. You can sign up for free, and then we have a couple of paid levels, and we have a free trial, so you can try out the paid subscription and see if it's something that you want to do. We also have pro sessions. Very often we bring in different artists and producers, and we have a very ambitious event going on tomorrow. We've got Hannes Bieger. I hope I'm saying that right. He's a pretty well-known engineer and producer, works with a lot of big artists. He's going to be doing a pro session here in New York, right in this chair. Right here, this is a live shot of the classroom where Hannes will be sitting. Thomas, of course, our good friend here in the chat from 343, is he and I have been working on setting this up. Right, we're doing a live stream of this, right, and so you can have access even if you're not here in New York. I mean, you could come here in person, and if you're really committed, you could come in here, buy your ticket, and sit here with Hannes and learn for 8 hours with an hour break. But we're also streaming this live, so you can watch anywhere, right? So that's our big challenge. After the stream today, we're going to get all this set up and ready to go. So I don't know. On top of that, our giveaway this week is a pro session of your choice. So now is your last chance. There's going to be a link in the chat here where you can sign up for the pro session. And if you win today, you can see the pro session with Hannes tomorrow, which, hey, that's pretty cool. And again, this is like a big deal for us. It's simultaneous, live event, live stream. It's kind of like producing a TV show. It's like it's another level of complexity. So, and this is actually also kind of a test run for our upcoming launch event called Sync. where we're doing another all-day stream from multiple locations. We're going to go live from Berlin. We're going to go live from New York. We're going to go live from Abe's studio upstate. We're going to go live from LA with Tetro, and I think that's most of the destination, the broadcast locations. But yeah, we're going to be doing all sorts of stuff all day on Saturday, and then have some classes on Sunday. So definitely info about all of these things I'm talking about down in the description. You can click on a link. You can see what we're doing. You can check out 343 Studio. You can check out 343 Labs here in New York. You can check out 343 Labs in Berlin. You can join our Discord. And again, the giveaway, which we'll announce at the end of the show, is for a pro session of your choice. And if you choose, you can check out this crazy marathon that's happening tomorrow here in New York. All right, enough about that. Let's just check in a little bit with the chat and see how people are doing before we get into making some electro using fairly basic sounds, but turning them into something way more complex using some granular processing with this new plugin from Arturia. Who else is in here today? Max is here. Pavel is here. Alexei Koshkinin, hello, welcome. Daniel from IntelliGel, good morning. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. Zeliko? Anyway, nice to have you here. Acid Bat, I like that. Actually, using some acid sounds today, using the Audio Realism baseline to do some 303 emulation today, along with the granular stuff. Peter Paws, Heidi Ho. I love it. And Hank, what's up, Hank? We are fine. Thanks very much. Now, let's see. Oh, someone was asking before about, okay, in the pre-intro, like the getting ready to go with the weird ambient drones and the voices with the effects. I found someone was asking, I think it was Live Society asking about that, and he's asking what was used to synthesize the text. Actually, right, doing text to speech. There's a lot of free websites you can visit that have text to speech demos, and you can try different voices and things like that. And also, if you're using OS X in the system has voices that you can download, and you can open up text editor and have any text read in different voices. So that's what I used. I found some interesting text about, gosh, I can't even remember, some kind of astrophysics / pseudo scientific spiritual alien lecture, but it was text, and I turned that into audio using text-to-speech synthesis in OS X, and I chose kind of a male British voice and pitched it down a little bit. Maybe one of these days we'll do something like this in one of the live streams. I won't do it today because I'm not really set up for it, but that's how that happened. All right, what else is going on here? Is it Krioch? Is it crack? What did I say? You've been listening to Bass Control on Beats Atlas Volume 1. Oh, the Transparent Sound Radioactive Man CD from way back. I haven't. All right, I used different hardware and synths back then when I made that track. I'll try to dig it up. Maybe we can take a look at it. I mean, it's not so complex, that track. It's drums and a bass line and samples from Nucleus. That's what was that's what was in that track. Is me kind of borrowing some sounds from that classic group Nucleus, early electro project. All right. Before I get totally way off base, let's get into some sounds. And all right. Oh, no, that's on a speaker. This is what you want to see. You want to see this. We don't want to see my browser. I should actually probably quit the browser. I don't want my CPU to blow up today. There's a small chance that might happen because, granular processing can be CPU intensive, right? It's taking the audio, putting it in a buffer, and it's like chopping it up into, hundreds of tiny little pieces. And the more grains that you have, the higher CPU usage is, right? And we've seen that before when I was playing around with Pigment. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same here. But you know, I have a simple sketch here. You can see there's only a couple of clips, right? There's, I have kind of a sampled pad, and I was looking for something sort of old school drum and bass / ambient chill out kind of a sound. So this is just a sample out of a library. It's just straight. Let's mute the 303 for a second. Kind of deep, and it has a little bit of a noodly melody in it. It almost sounds like some kind of not electric piano, but just kind of poly synth playing this smooth melody and harmony, you know, and I'm actually playing this progression, right? I'm not just using the sample as it is. I'm trying to layer it and play different harmony with it and kind of manipulate that phrase a little bit. All right. And then here's the 303 pattern. Already has some effects on it. All right, I'm gonna throw that Simple Sam says CPU will live. Right? We're just gonna hang on to that thought. And I don't want to go too deep into, you know, how 303s work or acid lines work, but I just will point this out. There's different nerdy discussions about which 303 emulation is best. Is it the Rolling Cloud? Is it this ABL 3? There's the D16 Phocion. There's all sorts of other emulations of this synth. This one is my favorite because it's so close. It's so close. There's a little bit of a thing where it's not exactly like the real, whatever. It doesn't matter. Once you've had it in the mix and you're playing around with it, it doesn't matter. What I really like is the random generator built into this thing. It's random with just the right limits, and you can come up with cool patterns so quickly. I love it. So I'm already thinking ahead that I'm going to add a second 303 to this, like a higher frequency thing to add later in the arrangement. So maybe we'll go through that process in a little bit. Another thing I set up, and I always mean to do this when I do a 303 kind of thing, is to have a hardware controller. Now, I don't have my overhead camera set up today, but you can just trust me that I've got knobs mapped, because this just makes all the difference. You cannot make good acid with 303 stuff without all the knobs mapped and two hands controlling everything. That's what gets the most out of it, when you tweak it just the right way. All right, I like this. Acid Bat says, who cares which 303 emulations are the best? It does not have to sound like the OG. It just has to sound good and go beep beep boop. It's gotta go, it's going beep beep boop right now. I agree. All right. Cool. So I'm going for this chill, hypnotizing, fast. What BPM are we at? 148. All right. Fairly fast, not crazy. And then I kept the drums simple. I loaded up 606, just the 606 from the live library. I may go back and revisit and polish up the drums and try some different things, but I kind of like the idea of starting with simple, not too polished sounds, and then really focusing on what the granular effect can do for all of these. And like, what's it going to do on a pad? What's it going to do on the 303? What's it going to do on the drums? What else might we stumble onto today? So, all right. So this is what I started with. And right, there's no effects are not active on here. It's just got some preset stuff in the rack. I guess there's a mix bus in here. It's a little crunchy. I kind of like it. Where are the controls for this thing? Oh, they're over here. To lower the sample rate and the quality. That vintage knob. All right, that's fine. And it's a nice kind of hypnotizing, moody, little bit old school electro acid groove, right? Already it's fun to play with. Let's hear what the pad, now let's take a look at this plugin, all right? So, well, I'm gonna load up another one. That one's off. Let's take a look at this just straight out of the box. So this is what it looks like. This is Fragments. Hank says, sounds great. Thanks, Hank. I appreciate that. All right, so here we are with the basic view of Fragments, and we've got a nice graphic of the grains, right? Those little yellow spikes are the grains that are being captured by the grain capture section over here, right? And then we have intensity, and effects level is going to be the other stuff over here. We have these effect slots that can have different other types of effects in there, and then there's panning and stuff like that. All right, so there's grain capture where it gets the audio, and then grain release, which is how they're moved around and changed, and how short they are, how long they are, and so on. And then, you know, this also kind of works like a delay, right? So there's an echo element. There's a feedback element. So the grains can be captured and then processed and then repeat and then repeat and then repeat. Let's hear what this sounds like just straight into whatever random, well, not random, this is the default preset when you first load the thing up. All right, you can see now there's a waveform overview of the incoming audio going into the buffer. I mean, already that took that nice sample and made it ethereal and out in outer space, which is definitely the vibe, right? Compared to just without it. So what's it doing? What is it doing? It's like adding, sounds like it's transposing. It's doing that kind of shimmery thing where some of the sound is a higher pitched, a higher interval. It sounds like fifths and or maybe even an octave. Simple Sam says, this seems more basic than the one in Pigments. Somebody asked if you can route audio into Pigments. I don't believe you can. I could be wrong. I'll have to double check that. Don't quote me on it. You say this may be more simple. However, look what happens if I click the advanced view. And now we're like going into hyperspace. So there's definitely a lot more going on than met the eye at first, looking at the basic interface. This is where all the details are. Let's try some other presets. One bar glimmers. All right. So, you know, it's possible to set this so it captures different rhythms, different timing, quantized timing. A lot of granular synthesis, it's all like in milliseconds, and it's not necessarily synced. And it kind of it'll do stuff randomly and make these kind of cloudy textures. That was one of the things I liked about the Pigments granular engine, is it let you quantize the grains, and then it becomes as much a granular synth as like kind of a glitch repeat. You can do rhythmic kind of stuff with it, right? So that's what's happening here. Is it now it's got it's doing like dotted eighth note grain capture. And you can quantize the grains. Right now there's a grid size, so the grains are all going to be right now 16th notes. So it's actually going to do something that's in time with the music, and it doesn't matter so much for this cloudy, spacey pad, but for drums and things like that, the quantize is going to be really important. All right, let's try another one. All right, that's a little bit less crazy, but transposed up in fifths. All right, so this one, the quantize is off. It's just doing speed in terms of, I guess it's going to be like frequency. Let's look at the grain release, right? So higher density is going to be more fast grains. Lower density is going to be fewer, slower grain repetitions. You can hear it got less intense when I brought that density down. And the density's in hertz now, so it's repeating those grains at the frequency that it's set, which is really fast. Then we have grain size. If you go real short on the grain size, it's going to sound more grainy, more kind of bubbly and choppy. And then as you increase the grain size, you see they kind of blur and space out over each other. They kind of overlap each other. And then we have the pitch right now. Right, we can transpose them up and down. Wow, 3 octaves. Or actually, no, this is doing fifths. Oh my gosh, it's not doing octaves. We can change that to different scales. This is amazing. I'm gonna keep, fifths kind of works with everything. Almost everything. I love it. All right, then we have stereo width, like the grains are moving around in stereo. And this is pretty typical stuff. The stuff we're looking at in the middle here is pretty typical. It says classic, right? Most granular synths and effects do something like this. We have grain direction. You can go forward and backward. Grain crush. Okay, this is a different quality. It's like using different types of samplers with different hardware specifications. Right now it's set to CMI, whatever that is. It's going to do some kind of bit reduction, sample rate reduction. Grain shape. It's like an envelope on each grain. It's how they fade in and out. I often like using more of a percussive, like a fast kind of attack and a slow decay, so it's more rhythmic, kind of tightly rhythmic that way. And then we have random fine tuning, which gives it kind of a chorusy unison detuning effect. This is great. And that's just one of the grain release modes. Then we got panning, there's a filter, there's different effects you can choose from, and then all down on the bottom, all of these things can be modulated. We have this is all straight out of Pigments as well. We got 3 functions, which can be LFOs or envelopes. We have an envelope follower, so it's now this one's reacting to the incoming audio signal. There's a step sequencer and macros for just assigning. Pretty sure these knobs. Let's see. What does it look like in the basic view? Yeah, these knobs on the top. These are macros that can be assigned to stuff. Right. And this sound is hypnotizing me. Right, we got a more rhythmic one. They did come up with like a lot of nice presets to get started with. A lot of them work really, really well on these ambient, spacey kind of sounds. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna go back to the one, whatever one I had for this. Yeah, I just used that Ocean Sweep. That was just my starting point. It sounded beautiful on this sample. I didn't really tweak this at all. All right, now let's check this out on the 303. I think it's really important to like try different types of effects on the 303. I'm not an absolute purist. Like I want to take that familiar 303 sound and do something new with it. And you know, teaming up a simple synth like this, a very unique and standout sound that this synth does, but it only does so much, right? Taking this and processing it with effects. I mean, historically, like distortion has been a big one, that kind of thing. But like granular on this is going to be really interesting, especially doing something rhythmic. All right. Oop. Let's just get the 303 by itself. All right, I mean, this has already got a lot of energy. All right, so Totalist is throwing down the gauntlet. He says presets are boring when you can make your own. All right, so let's talk about that. I agree. When it comes to synthesizers, making your own sound from scratch ultimately is the way to go, especially depending on the kind of music you're making. But like if the music you're making where a unique sound kind of, you know, as an artist, as a producer, you really need to have your own sound. Now, I'm not that I never use presets, but most of the time when I make techno, I tweak if I did start with a preset, I tweak the preset a lot and make it my own. Or a lot of the times I make my own sounds from scratch, and you've seen me do it. Effects are different though, because effects sound different depending on what you put through them. So I have no hang up whatsoever about using effect processing presets. It saves a lot of time. Of course, I can also go through and create my own sounds from scratch with an effects processor, but a lot of times when I'm using effects like this that are very distinctive and transformative, it's real fun and fast and inspiring to start with those presets. But then, okay, just like I would with any other synth presets, go and modify them. So I already had to do that. So this example I have on here, let's hear what this sounds like with the fragments on it. So it's kind of, it's changed the melody. So it's taking different parts of the phrase and repeating them, and it's doing a little bit like what you would do with like beat repeat and live. Not super complicated, but I really like that as a variation. I could definitely see automating this on and off, or doing like a dry wet with it. Right, have that as a variation, going from one to the other. It's like I have two different 303 lines, but one is granular, the other one isn't. Let's see what that's doing. All right, so this started as another preset. It's Machine Gun. All right, the grain capture is set to manual, which means you can see there's like a line right in the beginning there. It's just at the first little bit of the bar, and I can move that around and kind of do real-time manipulation of that, so I can move around in it at will to create different variations with the manual position. But then also, this is where the sequencing and the functions come in. It's creating a melodic variation by capturing a different section of that bar. Looks like it's a 2-bar pattern, and it's just moving the position in rhythm. So if I wanted to change that, so I'm getting different, now I'm hearing different parts of the buffer, different notes at different parts of the phrase. Alright, I'm gonna undo all this stuff because I liked how it was. And effects nowadays, having effects with undo and history is so great. Pigments has this too. Definitely. All right, so let's hear how that sounds with the beat a little bit. This is important. I love it. Drexia. Which one is it? Used presets. It's not the synth, it's what you do with it. John H. Kingston is here from usually you're late. You're usually here, one of the first that you made it. Glad that you're here. All right. All right, I'm happy with this. And this was it just so happened that this preset sounded awesome on this randomly generated 303 line. So, great. All right, I want to hear this with the padding in. be a little loud. What happens if I take this and transpose it up? Sounds good up there too. Sometimes I'm also transposing the 303. That went way out there for a second. The tuning, I hit the knob wrong. All right, let's take a little break before we go further. This track's almost done somehow. At least the basic building blocks. I still want to think about hooky ideas, like maybe samples or a lead sound or maybe a vocal. Or maybe we just want to let the 303 do its thing. All right. How's everybody doing? It's halfway through, just past the half hour, I think. This is 343 TV. I'm John Selway. We're coming to you from 343 Labs. I want to mention again that tomorrow there's a pro session, and this is your very last chance to enter to win a pro session of your choice. So we've got this marathon 8-hour session going on. It's going to be online or here in person in New York if you happen to live here. So if you're interested in that, click the link here. Of course, we have info about all the other stuff we're doing in the description below. And I don't know, let's talk for a minute. What are you guys doing here in the chat? James Porch says 303 is very nice modern treatment. Yeah, thanks very much. That was kind of the idea, is to like have the 303 vibe, but then use this more new kind of granular effect to give it a bit of a different spin. Not that that's never been done before, but we're trying it out, in the context of this new plugin from Arturia. And, we've been pretty happy with what Arturia has been doing lately, and Fragments is no exception. And it's kind of like an expansion on the granular engine that's in Pigments as an audio effect, and it's sounded pretty good so far. I'm happy with it. Cool. What else is going on? You guys are just talking about, Absent. Hey, what's up, Absent? I just want to give Absent a little bit of plug. Thanks for saying that this is a nice groove. I appreciate that. But if you should check out Absent's stuff on Instagram. He's posting these little bits of the music he's working on, and he has his stuff on Bandcamp. And he, big DJs play his tracks too. I think like Mark Broom's one of my favorite techno DJs and producers from way back, and I know he has been supportive of Absent. So definitely check out his stuff. He's doing great stuff. Let's see who else is new in the chat today. I'm looking for new names that I haven't. Well, new names are just saying hey to who's here. Let's see. Like, I know Mouvement Sequentiel has been here before. Nice to see you. Hello. Michael Black. PN0. Zeppi Productions. Can I hear it without the granular effect applied? Do you mean the 303? Yeah, we played that earlier. I'll do that again. And actually, I think, assuming we have time, and I think we will, I'm going to add another 303 part to this and have it be a little bit extra. All right. Audible video. Where is that? He said all you need for the track was the 2 granular synth tones and the 303. That's right. Like, it's easy with so many plugins and so many sample libraries and so many effects and so many tracks you can have at the same time to just keep throwing stuff in there. Sometimes it's really important to just stop, and especially I think with certain styles of music like techno and electro, to not overdo it, right? You start to get diminishing returns adding everything in the kitchen sink, and it's good to focus on just a few good sounding elements that work well together and kind of give you the feeling that you want. Oh, and yes, this is really important. Max Wild reminds us, and those of you out there who are into electro have been here before and have seen that I had Carl Finlow as a guest multiple times. We have him scheduled to do a masterclass as part of 343 Studio next, a week from tomorrow, right? And then also, my very good friend and longtime techno collaborator, Christian Smith, is doing a music business oriented masterclass tomorrow, also on 343 Studio. So definitely, if you haven't signed up already, check it out, see what we're doing. And I don't know, highly recommended. I think both of those. And we've got some more good stuff coming up in the future, so we'll keep you posted. Nice. All right. Thanks for the reminder, Max. Max Wild, of course, our fearless leader here at 343 Labs, 343 Studios, 343 TV, 343 343. All right. I am going to go back to the music now. And let's see. All right, the next step was the drums, right? The drums are pretty simple, pretty straight ahead. Fairly typical electro drums, right? Let's hear what they sound like by themselves. We got the first thing I did was the fast hi-hats. 16th notes just with a little bit of, every other one, the velocity is different. And then there's, they have in the 606 this hi-hat combo, which is when you have the real 606, if you program an open and a closed at the same time, it does kind of an in-between, not open, not closed. So that's what that sound is. It's like a soft open hi-hat in a way. And that's where most of the groove is coming from, the feel of it. And then, the kick and the snare, pretty typical. That big smack of a snare. It's rough, it's dirty. Let's see what happens if we throw a granular effect on it. That also sounds amazing. It sounds like we're getting into like cavernous dub techno vibes here. It's like a little bit of Mono Lake where it's just totally deconstructed and rumbly. That's amazing. I could listen to this forever. I could do this and then put another set of drums on top of it. And that's just a preset. I mean, going back to this is just the ocean sweep that comes on when you first load the thing up. All right, now we got this 1-bar Glimmers preset. And you're kind of hearing a little more. You can get into IDM territory real fast with this. Now this is like all the drums going through this thing. What does it sound like if I just put it on one drum, like maybe just the snare? It sounds like it's reacting really nicely to the snare on the hi-hat. Let's throw that in just on the snare drum. All right, I think I liked it better on the hi-hat. It had these cool tones happening. So let's try that instead. Oh, that's cool. It's like something's talking to me now. And I don't care that it's a little weird and out of time. But, let's look at, let's say it's a little too loose. How would I adjust this? Let's get into the dials and tune it to be a little tighter. Right, so it's set to, all right, the gain capture is rhythmic. If I wanted that to be more regular, I would change it to instead of dotted or triplets, I could change it to just straight sync, and now it's going to do eighth notes or quarter notes. It still sounds pretty glitchy though. So that's got to be what's going on in the grain release section. Let's change the density. There's also some modulation going on with this, so we need to see like what's modulating the density. It's going to be I am not sure. Oops. Actually, maybe it's just random. Maybe that's what's going on. See, I'm just, you know, as a reminder, this is a first look. So if I'm not sure what that knob does, this is the first time I'm looking at it. So excuse me if I'm not 100% proficient quite yet, but we're still having fun enjoying checking out what this thing can do. And hey, you know, maybe you never thought of putting granular effects on your hi-hat before. Like, who knew? I thought this just sounded awesome. We can bring the grain mix is kind of like a dry wet. I'm going to bring that back a little bit so it doesn't take over the hi-hat completely. I could even separate out the level of the grains. If I want to bring that in and out, I could automate that in and out. Okay. Cool. Now there was another effect I was playing around with before. Okay, so this is another example of kind of tweaking the preset and making it work somehow. So this one is another, right, I really liked this preset when I first loaded it up. This is what it sounded like. It's this cinematosis, right? This is kind of doing way more deconstruction of the sound. And it's like on another planet. It's totally taking it out of time. And I kind of like what it's doing, but I want to like control it. Right, so how do I get this? It sounds random, right? Let's hear what this sounds like. I'm going to get rid of the extra effect I just put on those hi-hats, just so it doesn't confuse the issue. But I love that. It's like, I mean, it's a little high frequency every now and then, but it's turning it into like alien soundscape, right? I feel like we're getting into like, whoa. One of my favorite modern electro producers is Stingray, and he does some crazy sound design every now and then. And this reminds, I'm not saying that this is what he does, like he's using granular or this plugin, but like you'll hear those kind of detuned, weird metallic textures and stuff, and like I love that. So this is a way to get there apparently. All right, let's see if I can get this to actually work. All right, sounds like there's some feedback going on here. I'm going to turn down the feedback a little bit. Right, and the grain capture is set to speed. I'm going to set it to offset and put it to sync. Right now it sounds like an echo or delay, right? Let's go to sync dotted. And now it's doing like, all right, it's sounding a little bit more like crazy echoes. I'm trying to get it to do more of the pitch sweeping thing. What was causing that? Was that really, maybe that needs to be in speed and have it be like moving in smaller increments, not jumping around on the clock. There we go. It's a little bit too reverby. Let's bring that down. Okay, that's interesting. Playing with the density. Let's try doing that in sync. Interesting. So many possibilities with this. Let's try changing this to synced. I'm trying to get it to do its crazy sweeping up and down thing, but in rhythm is what I'm going for here. And how well it works, I don't know. We're experimenting. That's cool. How does this sound if I bring the dry signal back in? So we're kind of adding spice to the main groove, having a little bit of this granular stuff going on in there. Now it is kind of messing with the kick drum a little bit. It could be that maybe this one will work best like just on the snare or something. So let's bring that in just to the snare. Right now the kick drum sounds stronger, it's not doing the weird phasing anymore. And we can probably go a little bit weirder on the effects. I like how it's kind of random, doing like random little glitchy fills every now and then. Oh, there with the feedback, that's interesting. All right, we're definitely getting to be on another planet now, which is what we want, I think, with certain kinds of electro. We want it to sound way out there. I need to work on the timing of the one on the snare, but it's getting there. All right, I'm happy with this so far. Got 10 minutes left. Let's try and add another 303 pattern, and we'll play around with the ABL a little bit. I'm dying to hear that pad again. Bring the feedback down a little bit and the grain mix down a little bit on that snare so it's less intrusive. All right, let's take a look at another 303 line. So I'm thinking like, this one's more the bass, right? I'm thinking of a higher octave. And also 16 notes. I don't want it to be too smooth and long and squiggly. I think I want to keep it energetic and moving forward. All right, so let's find, where is this thing? Why isn't it in my favorites already? Okay. So let's go back, and I was talking about this earlier, my favorite randomizing sequencer inside of a 303. And as soon as I hit apply, let's solo that. Right? You could make a cool track just out of that. That was way too easy. Or if you don't like that one, hit next. And that's just going to come up with different groups of notes and variations. We can have fewer notes if it's too busy. We can gate it so we have more space in between the notes. We can slides, have them bend into each other. So you can come up with amazing patterns really easily. Now What key are we in? I figured this out before. I figured out that we were in D. So I'm going to make the root key D. And you don't have to totally be random about it. I'm just going to turn off all of these other notes in the scale. Now it says C, but if the root is set to D, you would read this as D, right? So now you can hear it's just playing a D. And it can do up to 2 octaves, high or low transposing. So if you want it to stay high, maybe you just do like +1, +2. If I want to go even higher, actually, I could bring this tuning up an octave, and then now I have a wider range and a higher octave. And then let's put the pad on and see if we can figure out. Well, actually, no. We can play them together. So, and I can turn these notes on and off one at a time until it sounds nice and interesting. All right, more notes. You're going to hear more of what's going on in those notes that you've selected. And if you don't like that pattern, you want something different, next seed. That's cool. It's giving me some higher notes on top, which is what I wanted. I could live with that. And if you want, you could try transposing the root and doing kind of a different harmony. I don't know. Let's see. But that's okay. Let's see if that works. Pretty busy. I think I had my downbeat wrong. Yeah, I put the beat in wrong. Let's see. There we go. Anyway, it's so fast. And I don't want anybody to tell me I didn't make that. Like, I know it's generating sequences randomly, but I chose the range. I chose the key. I chose how I wanted it to be transposed, and I chose how many notes I wanted and whether I want them short or long and whether they slide or not. Like, it's just throwing out interesting patterns, and I can guide it into a different direction that I want. So I love it. Let's see what it sounds like with the, we gotta throw the granular on there, right? So far, I've been real happy about how my computer is handling. You can see I've got like 5 or 6 of these fragments running, and I haven't had to increase my buffer size. My CPU's not overloading. So, all right. Now, I talked before about the number of grains. So this is going to kind of determine like how smooth it sounds and how complex it sounds. The more grains, the more possibilities. It's sort of like increasing the resolution, but this definitely will increase the CPU usage. So I don't know. Let's see if we can find an interesting preset for this, and then these are more kind of rhythmic ones. Oh, that's nice. It's making a whole new progression. That was accidentally amazing. What happens if I increase the grains? All right, it goes up to 256. And hey, actually the CPU's starting to move up over 20. Not too bad though. I'm into this. Let's hear what it sounds like when I tweak it. All right, I didn't get a chance to MIDI map this one. I just increased the slide on this one to see what else I could do. It's like, it sounds like two different 303s playing together, which is amazing. All right, we need longer step lengths. We're gonna hear more overlapping. What happens if we transpose it? I'm into this. It's definitely like, it's acid. It's a different vibe. It's got this kind of a little bit more nerdy, kind of chirpy, blippy bloppy kind of thing going on. We'll refine that. How will that sound? Let's see what that sounds like again with the other one. Maybe a little much. Might be good to go back to something a little bit more atmospheric that's not messing the melody up too much. I don't mind it though. I can make it work, especially with some interesting modulation. Definitely got nerdy though. Okay, we're out of time. I'm pretty happy with how things worked out today. Let's bring this down. All right, everybody. Thanks to all of you for hanging out today. Did we get a winner? Yes, we do. Our giveaway winner this week is SS Arrow. Congratulations, you have won a pro session of your choice. Perhaps you want to dive into the one we're having tomorrow with Hannes Beger. 8 hours. That is insane. You got to be dedicated, but I'll bet you it's going to be worth it because I know he's a really good engineer and producer. Definitely check that out. All right, enough of you 303. Thanks again to everybody, all the regulars in the chat. Thanks for the good questions. Had a pretty good vibe today. And, oh man, I just saw a sad message. Let's, Acid Bat says, this is bumming me out because both of my 303s are out of commission. At least you have 2 real 303s? Okay, your name is Acid Bat. You should have 2 303s to make that really like super legit. I'm sorry to hear about that. Yeah, it's kind of a pain. We got these, you know, vintage 303s, you know, they're old, they die, they have to be repaired. It's just how it is. I've had to do it. So I hope you get that worked out. Appreciate it. I'm going to get out of here. We got to get ready for tomorrow. We got a lot to do before this marathon tomorrow. So thanks again to all. Good luck. Congratulations again to the winner. Stay tuned. I'll see you next week. Adios.